Welcome to episode 21 of News for the Blues, your bite-sized weekly news show brought to you by the Unholy Trinity Everton podcast. And it's the final one of the season. It's a strange end to the season, really, isn't it? After the last sort of 5 or 6 games, I think we all felt we were in the battle for Europe. We've seen that dwindle away in recent weeks. A lot of it down to our own shortcomings, our own mistakes, some poor performances, some games we just let goals go in and be pegged back and dropped plenty of points over those 6 games, and we could have found ourselves now in the box seat going into the final game of the season in one of those European spots. But barring probably a miracle, it's not going to happen. And I think that was very much the theme and the feeling around the press conference today, with David Moyes obviously a little bit downcast. So we're going to dive in and discuss all of that. Loads of news out over the last sort of couple of days or so. Before we do, special mention to 12 Collective again. Mentioned them last week in terms of the products that you've got on sale. Some lovely things there as part of the Everton Collective stuff. This jumper being one, little quarter zip there. St. Domingo on there. Established 1878, lovely jumper. Check them out, have a little look. As I said last week, I think it's 12% off your first order. The sample sales going on. Great little new up and coming business and really decent stuff as well. So make sure you do check them out. Shares over my shoulder. Let's not forget about that on the last show of the season. 24-25 away goalkeeper shirt with obviously the main man Jordan Pickford on the back of that. Lovely shirt. Got that as part of the classic football shirt sale for around about, I think it's about 14 quid. So can't argue with that. So as per usual, check out our link for anything that you want to get from classic football shirts. But onto the press conference, onto the news out of the club. Probably the biggest thing in the last today really, is the omission of James Garner from the England World Cup squad. Obviously, Jordan Pickford included as England's number one. He'll be going. James Garner sadly omitted from the squad, a squad which has received plenty of negative coverage, it's got to be said, from those who follow probably a bit more closely than I do. I think the inclusion of certain players, like your Dan Burn, your Jordan Henderson, Ivan Toney, those kind of players getting in ahead of others, whether it be James Garner, whether it be Adam Wharton, Harry Maguire, for the great season at Manchester United. Dominic Calvert-Lewin was in with the shout, wasn't he, as well, after a really good first season at Leeds United. There's certain players who've been omitted, Phil Foden, another one, Cole Palmer. And I think a lot of fans of England, fans who probably follow them, as I say, a lot more than I do, don't seem to be too pleased. So no surprise, James Garner's being omitted. The mind alluded to the fact that doesn't think that our form has helped his cause. I disagree with that, especially given the fact that some of the names who were included have hardly played. I mean, Reece James, he's been injured a lot of the time in recent months for Chelsea. They haven't been in great form at all. That's just one example, of a player. Newcastle have hardly been in great form, and you see Dan Burn, Anthony Gordon can't even get a game for Newcastle because he seems to be on his way. So, that doesn't really work for me. James Garner still played well, I feel. Still puts in a great shift, even in the games that we've thrown points away, and he still stands out. Set up a few goals along the way as well. So a real shame for him. Obviously, Iliman Ndiaye and Sagana Gay are going with Senegal. Nathan Patterson, part of the Scotland squad as well. So there will be a bit of Everton representation over the summer across in the States, Canada and Mexico. So interesting to keep an eye on those players in particular. But as I say, shame that he has missed out. James Garner, what would have been probably a much deserved call up to in the World Cup squad after what's been a great year. I mean, obviously last night was the end of season awards held at Hill Dickinson Stadium in the yard there, and James Garner walked away with the players' player and the player of the season. So, fabulous for him. He deserved to be acknowledged for what's been a really, really good season, almost a breakout season, I'd probably say, in Everton colours. The season when we've really seen him come to the forefront, and what is he now, 25, is he? He's really starting to step up and become one of the most important names, one of the first names on the on the team sheet as well. Other awards on the night that were won. Goal of the season, Iliman Ndiaye, away at Sunderland, fabulous goal. He could have got it, couldn't he, for the Chelsea game as well, the goal he scored against them right in the top corner. He won that. Young player Harrison Armstrong. It's slim pickings really, wasn't it, in the young player in terms of anyone who stood out. Harrison Armstrong obviously spent time on loan at Preston, came back, did a decent job when he first came back, and then we haven't seen a great deal of him since around sort of March time. But he walked away with that award as well. Everton Giant to my favourite Everton player of all time, Leighton Baines. Obviously still very much part of the club, part of the coaching staff. Spoke really well about how much he enjoys the job and working with the players and being at the football club. And obviously the outgoing Seamus Coleman picked up the Howard Kendall Award as well after over 17 years of fabulous service, and he was presented with the frame sign from the tunnel at Goodison Park as well, which was a nice touch. I'm sure that'll hang proudly wherever he finds himself next season as well. I mean, the press conference, as I say, I found the manager really downcast today, and I think he sort of did say that after what's happened in recent weeks, he's disappointed. It's sort of left a cloud hanging over things from a personal perspective. The fact that he wanted us to be at least going to that last game, with a real shot, and it's diminished, and it's as I said earlier on, it's been down to ourselves. But it was one of them where he couldn't really explain. I think Julia Bold asked about what do you think the reason for the drop off is. Is it physically? Is it mentally? And he says he doesn't buy into the physically side of things because not like they played 50, 60 games in the season. I mean, we look at it and you see the same players, and Everton have used the least amount of players out of any side in the Premier League this season. And you look at some of our important players and their drop off. I think that's probably the biggest thing. The likes of your Iliman Ndiaye is probably a good example. Obviously, we've lost Garner Gay. I think Dewsbury's dropped a little bit in recent weeks as well. When you're losing important players in terms of not being quite 100%, it impacts a side like Everton because you haven't got maybe players who can come in and take up the mantle. But we still want to see those players being given an opportunity, whether it be Tyreek George getting more minutes. Tyler Dibble hasn't had a great season, but obviously a player that we probably all want to see that little bit more of. Marlon Rolls coming in recent weeks and done a decent job. So the manager was not too happy at all with at the end of the season. So it's going to be a big importance window, which is what he makes reference to in the press conference. Again, a lot of work to be done. A mixture of probably recent experiences and everything in between is what he alluded to. So it's going to be interesting to see. Vitalii Mykolenko is just on the verge of signing a new deal apparently as well. I think it's 3 years plus 1 year option as well. We probably expected it. I remember saying a little while ago, I think we had the 1 year option for him. So Everton were always going to, I think, exercise the option just because if we were going to sell him this window, it means you get some money for him. Looking at that, yeah, it protects our position, but it doesn't say to me, if you sign a 3 year plus 1 deal, that you're going to be selling them in the summer. I think the feeling is within the fan base. Now, obviously, I can't speak for everybody, but this is the impression that I get, that a lot of people feel that it's okay if he's back up, but we need a new left back, we need a new right back. We all know that. So let's see how that plays out when we kick the first ball of the new Premier League season. But it's one of them, isn't it, where you certainly we're going to lose quite a few players, aren't we, when it comes to when the season's over. Just Garner Gay, yet to be announced whether we've exercised the option with him. He hasn't played enough Premier League games for it to happen automatically. So that's something they've got to overcome. Obviously, you've got the odd lone player here and there, like Tyreek George, Jack Grealish, the two main ones who they will go back to the parent clubs. David Murray says, obviously, as the summer goes on, we'll see what we do with them. Whether do we offer them a deal? Do we go back in for them? Do we look at someone else? That just remains to be seen. But it's a real shame that we're in this position after putting ourselves in a good position going to the final sort of 6 games or so, and we've just thrown away points after points, and I think it's given a real sort of sombre and downbeat end to the season, really, hasn't it? Which is disappointing. I think if it was a season that probably started with a lot more hope, probably a bit more expectation with us moving to the new ground. And up until, as I say, a few weeks ago, we were probably meeting that. I think Sunday goes a long way, to determining how fans actually see the season. Do we see it as a success? If we beat Tottenham, if we send Tottenham down, I mean, it'd be incredible down there. I'm sure West Ham minds to win and Everton minds to win. Imagine it. But if we do actually go there, whether they survive or not, and we get 3 points and we find ourselves maybe finishing it in around 9th or 10th, I've said it. I've said it time and again. I see Everton or saw Everton finishing between 8th and 12th. If it's below that for me, it's disappointing. It is disappointing. If we finish with 1 point more than we got last season, is it progress? Not from a point perspective. The manager said there has been progress. There's been obvious signs of progress. We have to caveat it with certain things, of course. The move to the new ground has proven quite difficult at times. Injury to key players and the loss of key players, I think, has been a big factor for us, given the size of the squad. So it's how, are you glass half full or glass half empty? But the end of this season really is dictating the mood and how people perceive the season to have gone. As I say, I think a win on Sunday will go a long way to maybe changing people's minds a little bit. If we do finish in that section that I sort of thought we would do, I'd be I wouldn't say happy, but that's where I thought we'd be. So I can't be too downcast about that, because I believe that's where Everton probably should finish the season. But let's see. Listen, it's been a long old season, full of ups and downs as per usual. I think seeing sides like Aston Villa win the trophy for the first time in 30 odd years of the day, Crystal Palace again in another final this is it next midweek, and you see more and more sides winning trophies now, and at some point you hope it's going to be our turn. But plenty of work to be done this summer. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Obviously this has been a new show in the second half of the season. I appreciate everyone obviously who's tuned in. Make sure that you do subscribe on YouTube. There'll be more stuff coming out over the summer, of course, especially when the transfers start kicking off. We'll try and get some views in as well from fans from the clubs that we're buying players from. So loads of stuff coming out over the course of the summer and into the new season. Really appreciate anyone who's taken any kind of time to watch me, to listen to me, to listen to us over the course of the season. It's much appreciated. We back ourselves post Tottenham for the final podcast of the season. Let's hope we can end the season on a high. We're involved in things this time. We're not involved in it at the wrong end, but we can certainly make a difference come Sunday. So that's going to be interesting. Once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll catch you over the course of the summer.